Hello and welcome to another episode of Brad Dispense's Terrible Career Advice. This week I was really hoping to get up a little review I've been working on. It's kind of a roundup of a lot of the vector apps that are available for the iPad. And I've been working on it for a couple weeks now, and I'm thinking maybe I should have broken this out into multiple videos or multiple reviews. There's more out there than I thought there was. So I'm kind of doing this video as a holdover. Partly because I was talking to a friend last week, and he was asking me about one of my last videos where I talked about taking on work and your first illustration gig and kind of where I got my first illustration gig. The one thing in particular that we were talking about that he found most interesting was the idea of not taking as much money and kind of building up the portfolio instead. So for my day job, I'm a full-time freelancer, but only in any given month, only a little bit of my money actually comes from illustration. Most of it comes from web design, UX, UI design, if you want to get geeky about it. But I often take on illustration jobs that are below my normal hourly rate. I don't take on any web design jobs that are below my rate. I make sure that my rate stays the same for all those. But illustration, I will. But at the same time, I also don't take on every single illustration job that comes across my desk either. I'm pretty selective about it. Mostly because if I took every cheap illustration job that came along, I'd be broke. So it's kind of a balance between building up the portfolio and actually making a living. So at any rate, I was telling him about my guidelines for taking on a project below my normal rate, because oftentimes it's a gut feeling, but there are some things that I kind of take into account when I'm trying to figure out if I should take on a project that's probably below what I might normally charge for it. I think one of the things I'm doing here is I'm trying to get better at illustration, like the speed painting. I practice a lot and I have been improving over time, but I'm not there yet. So when I'm looking at a project, I want to know, is this something I'm going to be proud of? For example, if a dentist comes up to me and says, hey, I need a cartoon tooth mascot, and he doesn't have much money, and I know it's going to look terrible in my portfolio, and I'm just going to be doing it for a couple dollars, I don't want to do that. So that's the kind of work that I'm trying to avoid. It's just not worth the money for me. My time would be better spent on the type of stuff I enjoy doing in my spare time that I know would look good in my portfolio or might teach me a new technique or something like that. Another example is last year I took on a book project that was below what my hourly rate would be. It still paid pretty well, but if I was charging it realistically, it probably would have charged more for it. But the reason that I took on that project is that I've always wanted to illustrate a technical book like that one. And I knew the author and I knew the publishing company. And so it just was a really good fit. So taking on something like that for a slightly lower rate wasn't like a huge leap for me. And I knew it was something that it was editorial illustration and it was going to look really good in my portfolio and be a great learning experience for me. And so that's the other thing is, when I'm taking on a project, I want to know, does this kind of take me to the end goal? So part of why I'm doing a lot of this stuff, whether it's the YouTube channel or these test illustrations like the one I'm drawing here, it's to learn, it's to get better, it's to build that portfolio. And if I can get a little bit of money on the side and achieve those long-term goals, then yeah, I'm going to jump at that. If it's just work for the sake of doing work, or if it's work that just takes me off in a completely different direction, like away from cartooning and maybe towards technical illustration or something weird that's not really where my long-term goals are, that's something I'm probably going to pass up. Who is asking me for the work also plays a huge role in whether I take it on or not. If it's an individual who's just wants something cool for the web, like an avatar or me to draw their pet or something like that, that doesn't bother me as much because I know that person doesn't have a lot of money. Even though I usually don't take on those types of jobs anymore, I don't like drawing people's avatars. But at least I know why they aren't offering that much money for it, because they don't have that much money. On the other hand, if it's a larger company that has a lot of employees and is used to spending a lot of money, I never let them short me just because I know they have the cash, and if they really want to invest it, great, let's go for it. Also, those projects with larger companies are going to have a lot of revisions to them, and so in my head I might think, yeah, I could knock that out in a day, but I also know from experience that no, we're going to be revising it and going back and forth, and this is going to be a multi-week project. Another thing I take into account is this a one-off thing, or is this something that's going to be repeated over time? Now, the main reason I take that into account is because I don't want to do something cheap for them once and then have them come back to me a month later and say, okay, we need some more illustrations, and have me say, okay, now it's going to cost twice as much, because then I look bad. I look like a jerk. But it would be my fault because I undercharged them to begin with. So if it's going to be a reoccurring thing, I give them a very realistic rate up front for what it's going to cost so they'll know kind of going forward. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of throw that out there, add a little more depth to my last video where I talked about the, working and building a portfolio, getting your first job sort of thing, and get some of that out there. And next week, I'm hoping to get that video done with the Vector app roundup for the iPad. There's quite a few out there, so I'm kind of looking forward to kind of finishing this one up and getting it out there. So anyway, if you guys have any questions, or if you have anything else that you want me to answer that you think I might have like some insight on to one of these speed drawings in the future, let me know in the comments, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.